Hello, Bookman 445 channel viewers. We are back today with another book review video. As you can see, I have a microphone now from the last video that I posted. The money that I made from that, I was able to buy a $5 microphone from Five Below. But today, we're going to be reviewing The Lord of Chaos by Robert Jordan. Pretty nice cover. This is the sixth book in the Wheel of Time series. I'm going to split this video into two halves. There's going to be the first half is going to be spoiler free. This is the sixth book. We'll still do spoiler free, and then after we finish with the spoiler free review, we'll get into spoilers and talk about things that I liked and disliked that give away the plot. Okay, so to start with the spoiler free section, if you are watching a spoiler free review for the sixth book, I'd assume that you've read the other five. And if you've read the other five and enjoyed them, I think this book only does what the previous books have done and made it better. I think five really ramped up the um, the stakes in this world, and six takes that even further. So definitely look forward to that if you're coming from Fires of Heaven to read Lord of Chaos. If you happen to be a fan of Robert Jordan's writing style, it's on full display in this book too. This book suffers from one issue that I mainly have with all the books, and that it does drag at times. It's a great reading experience for someone who enjoys just the act of reading, which I know that sounds crazy because if you're watching this channel, you like reading. But what I mean by that is every room you walk into in this series, Robert Jordan makes sure to tell you what the carpets smell like and what the view is like from the balcony. And while I really enjoyed that, at times it can be a little too much, and I want to get back to the plot and the characters. And this book does the same thing, but also in Robert Jordan fashion. The ending in this one is insane. Um, the way he can write the last 50, 40 pages of a book is really insane. I don't know how he does it, and just every time he nails it. In all these books so far, the endings have just been insane. It feels like, well, I don't want to spoil anything. We'll save that for the spoiler section. But yeah, for the most part, if you are a Wheel of Time fan, if you fell in love with this world, the writing style, and you've committed this far, the payoff in this one's going to be crazy. So yeah, if you're a Wheel of Time fan, you've read the first five books, you're going to love this one, most certainly, in my opinion. Okay, so this will be the part in the video where I start to give spoilers to the book and what happens plot wise, character wise. So if you've not read this book yet, even though it came out a million years ago, make sure to click off now and maybe come back if you'd like after you finish the book. Um, there's a lot of popular book YouTubers have already reviewed this. They've done a way better job than me. So I'll link their reviews below. This part where we get into spoilers, so like I said, click off if you don't want those. Okay, so I think for the spoiler half of the review, I'm going to break it up into just following the characters and their specific arcs through the book and what I liked and disliked. Because I feel like in most of these books, it is separate between the female main characters and Matt, who happens to always get tied in with him, and then Rand and what he's got going on as well as the Dragon Reborn. So to start, we'll go over Rand's arc throughout the book. This video will be a tad bit longer than the rest, so I'll apologize for that, but I will try to keep it condensed. But to start with Rand's character arc, at the finish of book 5, he granted amnesty to all the male channelers in the world, which was a crazy move, and I was really excited going into this book to see how that developed. One of my favorite interactions in the whole series so far is when Mazrim, Taim, it's a fantasy book. You can't expect me to say all the names right, but they meet the actual Dragon Reborn versus a false Dragon Reborn from the past. When he was causing havoc in the north in Salday, however you pronounce that. A lot of tension between them. I get the feeling that Tame does not like him very much, but they first meet. Rand makes the decision that his Boy Scout camp with all men channelers is going to be run by Tame. And so that levels out the White Tower with the women who can channel versus now what later develops into the name is the Black Tower, which sounds pretty evil, and they do some evil stuff near the end. Touch on that later. So Rand makes the school. I remember at the beginning of the book he was worried about Samuel and Ilian, one of the Forsaken, but that just takes the backseat when everything else comes into play. Originally, I predicted this book would follow Rand and his dealings with Samuel, and Ilian, and him dealing with the Forsaken there. Quickly develops into how Rand's going to deal with the split White Tower and how he approaches each side of the Aes Sedai, the Elida side and the rebels. In the beginning, Rand's goal is to put Elaine on the throne, the Lion Throne, in Andor or Caemlyn, and let her rule and do what she was eventually going to do because she was the heir. But the problem is that he doesn't know where she's at. So when he finds where she's at, he goes to Saladar, tells Matt, bring her back, put her on the throne, I have other things to deal with. And those things he's dealing with is the split White Tower. So each of them pushing and pulling on him trying to decide who's telling the truth, who's not, even after Moraine told him not to trust any of them. He runs from Caemlyn because they incidentally have about 9 Aes Sedai, I think, which could essentially cut him from the power and not be able to use it, rendering him like useless. So he runs to Carheim, where that does happen with the other Aes Sedai faction. The one still the lighter side, the evil side, if you want to call it that. And he gets captured and he gets tortured. It's pretty dark. After being sidelined for about a book and 3/4, Perrin, who came to the palace because of his Tabaran connection to Rand, filling the pooling with his wife, Fail, figures out that Rand's been missing, and so he gathers a little army together to go and rescue him, essentially. And they do accomplish that, which happens in the midst of a crazy fight. Dumai as well, or Wells, something like that. Again, name, but in what is probably the craziest battle in the whole series so far. Just fire, lightning, just flying everywhere. Essentially, Rand is saved. Uh, the Aes Sedai on Elida's side, distracted by the Shida who are attacking them because they want Rand, and everybody else who's attacking them because they want Rand, because he's important. Um, they weaken the shield that they had on him, cutting him from channeling, using the power, and he escapes. But not before his Boy Scout male channelers show up and they like cut down these enemies. In the book, it says like a meat grinder, like just people just exploding, which was crazy. Rand really went through it this book, similar to his journey in The Dragon Reborn, the third book in the series, but I would say he went through the ringer more in this installment. And so the mentality that he has now and how his character has grown for seeing this book, I'm curious to see how he will interact with the world, with the people he's working with in the future, in future installments. Moving on to the other distinct half of the main characters, this book begins for Matt. He is sent towards Ilion to sort of take the attention from Samuel that attacks coming this way. So I assume Rand can attack him, can ram him from another direction. Eventually, he ends up having to work with the girls of the group, Elaine, Nynaeve, Egwene. As I mentioned earlier in the video, once Rand finds out where Elaine is, he sends Matt to go get her and then take her back to Andor to sit on the Lion Throne and rule how she's supposed to be. And so once he arrives in Saladar, where the Aes Sedai rebels are, he meets with the girls and they bully him like always. And basically, in this book, he's sort of just tagging along, making sure they're okay, learning to be flexible and not as stubborn and hard headed. Goes with them to Abodar to protect them while they look for the Tarangal weather bowl to fix the weather. Um, I really like Matt. I sort of wish he was more present in these books. I feel like book three, he was really had spotlight, time to shine, and that paid off. Doesn't do too much in this book, but he's always there for comedic relief. And I also feel his role developing and him being more known throughout the world. So as his influence grows, I'm curious to see how his character will develop. Elaine, I'm indifferent about. She's okay. She really didn't do anything this book except for be sad that Rand slept with Avienda before her, which fair, I suppose. She really doesn't do too much in this book. She helps make triangle rules. She figures out how to make them and makes different kinds, which is a pretty interesting development. I'm curious to see what else she can make in the future. That'll be important. But other than that, she takes a back seat in this book, pretty much from what I remember. I don't know, these books are like 900 pages, so I might be forgetting something. But Nynaeve, one of my favorite characters, probably my favorite character. She has a bigger role in this book, maybe not as big as previous books. Definitely, certainly bigger than Elaine's role is. She's working to break her block because she's the strongest channeler in the world, but that would be too easy for the good guys to win. So Robert Jordan made it to where she can't use her powers unless she's angry, which I guess is smart from a writing perspective. But she does learn how to cure stealing, and I forget what they call it for men or women, but essentially, when people have the power taken from them, she can give it back to them. Apparently, they're not as strong as they were before they were stilled, but they still get the power back. And in another one of my favorite moments in this book, she heals Logain, another false dragon, gives him his power back, who by the end of the book, Greene releases. But she also, along with the rest of the, along with Elaine, goes to Udar to find the weather bolts or angles, so to restore the weather cycle to normal. Um, Other than that, not much character growth necessarily, not as much as in book five that she had, but she had an interesting arc nonetheless, and I'm interested to see how her discovering to heal the Chandlers, how that might impact the future of this world. So, looking at previous recordings, I apologize that the audio started echoing. If I knew how to fix it, I would. I'll look into it before the next video. I mean, there's probably like 5 people watching this anyways. But I'll try to wrap it up quick. Last character I was going to talk about is Greene. She's the Maryland seat now. After her training with the ale and learning how to be more strategic and hard with people and more confidence within herself. I'm curious to see how she'll deal with that position that she's been given. Her relationship with Gawain, Elaine's brother, also develops in this book, which the romance in all these books kind of sucks. They kind of look at each other and they fall in love. But I am curious with her new position as the Maryland of the rebel Aes Sedai, how she'll handle that and what decision she'll make with her new role. Okay, so to wrap up this video, my official BookMan 445 book review rating of Lord of Chaos by Robert Jordan is I'd give this a 4.427 out of 5 stars. A lot of good here. Certainly not perfect. There's moments where it sort of stalls, and I tend to get a little bit bored, but the highs of this book are really high to counteract the lows. So, and if you've been a fan of the other books, then you'll definitely like this one. So, yeah, I think that'll be, we'll go with whatever number I said, I already forgot. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and hopefully we can get another review out soon. Thank you.